getting ready to leave, I guess, tomorrow to head out. So she apologized, but I was going to push that live right now. And we'll just wait a minute here. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Boss Rush. Are we doing that this Friday, too? Yeah, we're doing that this Friday, too. I hope everybody is having an awesome, awesome day and a great week and all of that good stuff. How about a little air horns. We got some cheers going on because GDC is next week. Can't wait. So we're going to dig into all of that plus big news of the past week. My name's Chris Melisinos. I'm the principal evangelist for video games here at AWS. And with me is...
Hey, I'm Dean Takahashi. I'm the lead writer for GameSpeed at VentureBeat, and I organize the GameSpeed events. And one's coming up on May 19th and 20th in Los Angeles, the GameSpeed Summit.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that as well. And
hey, I'm Mark DeLaura. I run a consulting company focused on education, technology, and games, and I used to work in the Obama administration.
Yes,
so I've had a really great week this week.
I know. We're going to try to make the move into the weekend a bit happier, right? We're going to talk about the fact we're all going to be together. We're going to try to lean into games and game news. Well, we'll also
might slip out.
That's okay. That's all right, buddy. We got you. We got you. Also, if you're watching, please go ahead and reshare this link out to your social media feeds, to your wall on LinkedIn, all that other stuff, so we can get more people joining us every Friday to talk about.
I don't think I even saw the link this week.
I know. See, with my co-hosts, I have to remind. Oh, by the way, the link went up. So yeah, and you're tagged. So make sure that you saw it. Actually, Mark, you accepted it. You were like, "Oh yes, I accepted to be a speaker there."
Who's that guy? No, I didn't. It's the
There you go. I'm sharing it.
There we go.
Oh, I was just trying to
embarrass me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, which is, that is my job. But all right, so yeah.
All right, there we go.
We have a ton to go through this week. So what I'd like to do is let's go ahead and talk about news of the week up to the top of the hour, and let's spend the last half hour talking about GDC and all the great stuff that's going on. Rick Neal always chiming in with the keep up the good work, Chris. I'm hearing good things about you. So thank you, Rick. I appreciate the vote of confidence, buddy. Anytime Rick Neal has something positive to say, it's like, I'm hearing good things. Everything is fine and we're shipping on time, right? And I'm like, yes, we are. So,
you guys for so long.
Yeah. So, hey, real quick, before we all start, I wanted to say, one of the things that we talked about last week was, because Dean, you brought it up, it was about video game commercials, right? And so I made a playlist of some of my favorite commercials, and it turned out that playlist is about 46 commercials long. Wow. So what I thought I was going to do here is I'm going to go in and pop up this old school TV, and I'm going to let some commercials play out right underneath Dean there as we talk about video games and game news. So if you go check on the post for this week's show, you'll see the playlist link, and I'm going to make sure I put that up there. But anyway, yeah, so we've got some video game commercials going on, and let's talk about big game industry news for the week. Dean, where would you like to start?
I went out to South by Southwest and enjoyed, barbecue in Austin and all that. And we had a couple of, interesting talks. Hideo Kojima came out on stage with Troy Baker and Norman Reedus and an exec from Sony. And they talked about the upcoming June 26th launch for Death Stranding 2, got the audience all excited and ready for it. They dropped a 10-minute trailer about what it's about, and after watching that trailer, I have no idea what it's all about. You know, that's Hideo Kojima.
It's the
for you.
follow-on to the greatest walking simulator ever made,
yeah,
right?
That's right.
Yeah.
It still looks like there's a lot of walking, but also now you have to pull out your gun quite a bit as well. So it's a walking and shooting simulator now, and I suppose he must have heard some of the criticism about the walking and threw in some more action here. So that's debuting on PlayStation.
Yeah.
June
Is that the game
26th.
that you were playing that you couldn't talk about, Dean?
No, that's not it.
Okay. All right. Well,
Actually, I can't remember what the embargo was, but Assassin's Creed Shadows.
oh,
You've embargoed it so hard, you've embargoed it from the side of your brain that remembers.
That's right.
exactly.
And then, yeah, there was
Maybe that's
another
still-
talk as I was heading out to from Joanna Ferries, the president of Blizzard.
Yeah.
And she went on stage with Conan O'Brien.
I know. I
That was,
wish I could have been there. I'm a massive Conan O'Brien fan. Holy cow. When I saw it, I was like, what? Have you ever watched his
Yeah.
Clueless Gamer series?
Yeah.
I love
It's awesome.
with
Yeah,
Aaron Blair?
he's
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Yeah, he mentioned he started leaning into games like 15 years ago,
Yeah.
and he found that his sort of lack of skill was a great source of humor. So,
Nice.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So that was, you know, that's close to my heart for sure. But yeah, they announced that BlizzCon is going to be coming back next year on September 12th and 13th, 2026, in Anaheim, California. So, actual bit of news there. It means that they're probably not going to have any gigantic launches this year. BlizzCon is usually, you know, timed to when they have things to talk about. So I think Blizzard must be in the reloading kind of mode right now. But yeah, it's nice to see things coming back that you know, maybe have
Yeah.
been on hold.
Well, I mean, speaking of things coming back, there was, Dean, you all had published a story about the seemingly the rise that we're seeing again now in mobile games, right? From a revenue perspective.
Yeah, I think that was Rachel Case's
yes.
story, right? And yeah, I think things feel like they're looking good. We had one of my own stories on Tilting Point coming back with a $150 million user acquisition fund. And that was something that they started doing in like 2016 and 2018. They're in sort of the heyday of mobile. And what they do is they get a line of credit from a bank and then put that money into promising games to help them grow. And, you know, they take their cut, but they also manage to, you know, get more paid user acquisition for smaller games that have a lot of potential and are already growing, but need a bit of a boost more to get more discovery and more widespread attention. And so if they're bringing back this tactic and then the bank itself is, you know, ready to invest, I think that's a good sign for mobile games for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's good news. I mean, otherwise, like I would say that the crowd seemed smaller at South by Southwest. Those two talks, you know, they were spread out by a few days, and so you know, the rest of the content was sort of smaller scale at the event. We had our own event, which was a nice one at Franklin Barbecue. With
so
Ixola,
good.
and we had a couple of sessions with Adam Boyes and Elizabeth Howard, Berkeley Aganis, and a fellow from Apps Flyer as well, Mitchell. And yeah, it turned out that people were happy to listen to a talk as long as we held them, you know, back from eating their barbecue. So they were eager to listen to a talk before getting their food.
It's a good strategy.
Yeah. Well, how about you, Mark? What big stories or things are occupying your brain space today that are not related to what's going on in Washington, D.C.?
There's one thing, which is because I'm here in Seattle.
Yes.
Niantic is here in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And Niantic is selling off its Pokemon Go and game side business to Scopely.
Yeah.
Scopely, makers of Monopoly Go. Scopely, owned by Saudi Arabia. Am I remembering that correctly?
Owned by Savvy Games. And
Owned by Savvy
Arabia.
Games, comma.
Yes.
Savvy
Saudi Arabia.
Games Group. Yeah, and Savvy has a big investment from the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the price tag, in some ways it surprised me. It sort of makes you realize how big Pokemon Go still is, for such a long-standing game. But $3.5 billion for a company with one major game and one that's doing a secondary game that's doing well. Monster Hunter Now game is also doing well. But yeah, there were a number of other games that just could not sort of capture the same size audience as Pokemon Go. So the original sort of location-based mobile game is still a big cash generator. So I think that's what Scopely wants to have, which is like they have this huge hit in Monopoly Go, which is in the billions of dollars now. But when you're that big, you have to add something, not just a small startup at a time, right? But you have to add something that's already big in order to deepen that sort of cash flow and keep it all going.
Yeah.
So yeah, Pokemon Go seems like a good thing to acquire. They did not acquire some of the technology business of Niantic,
right,
which was interesting. The 3D sort of spatial mapping technology, and that's going to stay as a separate company. So very interesting.
Yeah, and I think Ingress, which was the precursor to Pokemon Go, if you want to put it that way, and Peridot, which is just a virtual creature game, I think also, they kept. That's interesting. That's the part that I think is most interesting to me. I was a little puzzled as to why they would sell this off, and sell off most of the other games, and then the fact that they kept a couple is also puzzling. I'm just sort of staring at it going, I'm not quite sure why this happened, except from the Scopely side. That's interesting. Like, Scopely seems to have some skill at running live service games, and Pokemon Go has been running live service for like a decade now.
Right.
So that's probably a good combo for them.
Yeah.
Take advantage of their skills.
Well, yeah, but I think if those two specifically are like Peridot and sorry, what was the other one that you said? Not Ingress.
Ingress.
Oh,
Ingress!
and Ingress, yeah. So those, I think those are. I mean, Ingress was the first game that went ahead and put the live maps and all that other stuff in place. And then, of course, what's wonderful about that was Google was using it to basically check all their map data, because people would walk around and share what they're doing and put in millions and millions of points of interest for free to Google. So very Ender's Game-ish of them. But I think that's more closely tied to the experimentation and the technological build of the platform. Same thing with Peridot, which is, I don't know if you've played it, but I walked my creature down the street a couple of times, and then you'd see it doing, object occlusion and whatchamacallit, collision and all that other stuff. That feels more like it is an expression of the underlying technology they're building. Everything else that you talk about just rests on top of the platforms that they created. So those may be experimental type of platforms they continue to lean into, or there just wasn't enough revenue or potential for those kind of going forward. But they sold the games are going to focus on the technology, which it's a pivot for the company, right? But it was I think a technology focused organization first, right, at its inception. So they're kind of going back to their roots a bit. So I wish them the best of luck. Super smart people doing a ton of really good stuff over there. So yeah,
it's nice to see they want to push the tech forward, and I think you know, these are the sorts of things that Pokemon Go players kind of just turned off, right?
Yeah.
We had augmented reality. You
That's
looked at it and
absolutely
said,
right.
"Oh, that's cool," but it's
Yeah.
slowing down my game. So I'm
Right.
gonna
Right.
just,
And my phone's so hot, I dropped it.
Yep. The battery runs for 10 minutes now before I need to plug it in.
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
That's why they
that's
sold
right.
the Poke Brick. Big battery you can put on your belt.
That's how you always could identify a Pokemon Go player when you're walking around Seattle Center over here. Was they had a cable from their phone stuck into their pocket to a battery.
yeah.
Yeah. We played Ingress a lot when I was in DC.
Yeah.
Just like 12 years ago now, right? Ingress was super popular.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I remember at Verizon, there was one power station for Ingress that was in a Verizon building. So you had to like be able to get into the offices to claim it, which was always
Yeah.
interesting. And then the other one was we were in New York recently and there was a whole crew of people just storming down the street in Manhattan and somebody with a Pokemon Go flag. And so it's literally like 50
Nice.
people with their walking through New York City streets with their head down looking at their phones and everybody is avoiding them. So I'm like, you go. Live
That's
your
awesome.
best Pokemon Go life.
It's funny that none of the other franchises never landed. I remember trying the Harry Potter one. I think there was the NBA one at one point that people tried. It
Yeah.
was all really super similar game mechanics. But they just never, well, at least for me, never stuck. I always went back to Pokemon.
Yeah. Well, I did the Harry Potter one and we were actually vacationing in Greece and there was this one medallion that I captured like at this resort on the top of Santorini. Like you needed to be right there. I'm like, yes. And then it shut down. I'm like, oh, well, there you go.
Dang it.
If only it was an NFT. No, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm not
gosh.
going to do that. No, stop it. Stop it. Yeah.
What other news? Oh, did you hear that Mike Verdu left Netflix?
We
Yeah.
did hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a bit bizarre because like his focus was on generative AI, I guess. After leading Netflix for a number of years as it expanded into games, right?
Yep.
Verdu decided to exit now. But he had stepped down from the top job at Netflix Games a while ago. Alain Toscan took his place, I guess. And,
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
yeah, interesting
Yeah.
move
Yeah.
for Mike here.
Yeah, I wonder. Well, maybe we'll all catch up with him at GDC. But the vibe that I got from people was that he had stepped down from that job originally because he was more interested in being closer to building games, and he felt like he'd gotten too abstracted away and was doing more management kind of stuff than the building. Yeah, which is the fun part. The building stuff's the fun part. Well, some people find management fun, I'm sure, but anyway, so he moved over to the Gen AI to lead Gen AI. Which was something that they'd been looking for somebody to lead for a while, so it seemed like a good fit. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I don't know who's going to take over this Gen AI seat, or if they're just like, we're gonna, have that push into all the game teams independently, because they have a bunch of game teams, right? It's not a small organization. So,
You guys keep talking about news. We just
Blah,
had
blah,
the LinkedIn
blah.
stream creator. So it's a LinkedIn issue. YouTube is working fine.
LinkedIn has
Excellent
bugs?
connection. Yeah,
Wow,
I
this is
know.
a surprise.
So I'm gonna reload the stream here. So everybody hang tight, hang tight. You guys keep
there-
going.
There
YouTube
are
is working great.
There are evidently lots of graphics cards that are shipping.
woohoo!
The 50 series.
You mean AI cards?
GeForce RTX cards from NVIDIA are shipping. Have been for about 5 weeks now, and then AMD's also now shipping their latest Radeon graphics cards that are all sub $1,000, which is probably the heart of the market, and that's good. Let's see, they're showing off the RTX tech and remix. Tech inside a Half-Life 2 RTX demo at the GDC. So that'll be interesting for NVIDIA to show off there. Let's see. Microsoft yesterday, they unveiled something that they called the co-pilot of gaming, where they're trying to create AI sidekicks for gamers, who can answer all your sort of encyclopedic questions about gameplay while you're playing a game. And they say it's going to be sort of quick and responsive. So things like, how do I get back to where I, picked up my stuff? And they said, well, we can't tell you now unless you turn on this feature, that's going to track your movements. And here's how you do that. And then once you do that, then we can tell you, stuff like that. And it was interesting to hear. I guess a lot of this is coming that I think Crafton first talked about with PUBG, where in PUBG now you can play with an AI companion partner instead of a real person. And so you get a well-behaved AI character that won't abandon you and can help you, win a battle royale game, as opposed to maybe work at cross purposes. So I think that's cool. So we'll see how useful these things are. Like I think something like post match, you can ask why did I just die right now? As you're sort of cooling down and waiting for the next match to start, then it can give you some kind of instant analysis of okay, here's where you went wrong, and you probably should have retreated with the rest of your team when they all got taken out. Instead, you went back into the fray. Next time, try not to do that.
That's interesting.
That sort of thing. Yeah.
What is that thing called that they're building?
They call it co-pilot of gaming.
Okay, that's super interesting. I'm pondering over use cases of games that I play that are more live servicey that I'm might be curious to ask it at any given point. What was I doing last time I played? What's the next thing I should do? Where am I stuck? I was just sitting here thinking about Duolingo because I had a Duolingo news article up that somebody wrote it at your, was it you or was it, anyway, there's a Duolingo article on VentureBeat.
Oh yeah, I just did a Duolingo story again today.
I keep thinking about when I use Duolingo and then I walk away from it, I frequently find myself going, man, I wish I could harvest the stuff from the last level that I played and put it into something that helps me study during the course of the day. But I never do that in the moment because I'm doing Duolingo. But right now, it would be great if there was some kind of API, some maybe Gen AI thing that would easily understand what I was doing and be able to access the API and get that information and yank it. I'm what other use cases are there for that? That's super intriguing. That's a good idea from Microsoft.
Yeah. And then on Duolingo for GDC, they're going back to recruit people for their company again, which has $870 million in bookings now, and 40 million daily active users, and for helping to make their mobile apps more gamified, and with back in September they launched these new sort of mini games that also increase engagement. And they say that engagement and sticking with something for the long term is really key to learning a language. If you just keep coming back and they figure out ways to entertain you, then you'll come back. And so this kind of dovetails with a job seeking strategy that Amir Satvat suggests for people who are having a hard time getting work, and that is go find a job in an adjacent industry and get that job and start working, improve your skills, and then keep looking for a job inside games. Right. So this is one of those companies that feels like the talent is really good in the game industry, and they want to access those people, and so they go to GDC to recruit every year. And Bob Meese is their sort of flag bearer here. He's the chief business officer, and he used to be one of the game business development people for games at Google. So.
Yeah, we worked together in a very short period of time. I worked at Google. Bob is fantastic. It makes me really happy to see him having so much success at Duolingo. So,
yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah, I think he also recruited Bonnie Ross, former head of Halo and former head of 343 Industries, to be a board member at Duolingo now. So.
Good. Glad to hear it. I mean, it is interesting. I'm gonna track Bob down. Last year they did like an industry sponsored session at GDC on the show floor, which was super packed, really informative, useful stuff. I'm curious to hear. It'd be interesting to see how their strategy has evolved over the course of the year, because the app hasn't evolved for me anyway. But I know that they've launched Max, which is their like Gen AI driven talk with characters in the language you're studying thing, which is super interesting. I didn't see any of the games show up in Japanese. And like engagement is something that they are excellent at. Like Duolingo is amazing in engagement. What they're less good at is the teaching part. For me anyway.
Also, one thing I wonder is like how are they going to deal with this era of automatic language translation technologies that are coming in because of AI, right? So I think they have to somehow adapt to that. It should be interesting.
Well, I mean, maybe part of it's going to be, okay, so here's what AI gave you, and here's the actual way you say it.
Yeah. We've been having that discussion with some industry execs I'm in a group with. They were looking to take some of their game text from a game that they'd shipped in the US, and they wanted to port it over to Japanese and Chinese and a few other Asian languages, and they were asking people to help them with the translation. And then people were jumping in and saying, well, that's the literal translation, but that is not. That sounds terrible in the target language. Right. So like you can't always trust Google Translate or necessarily one of the Gen AIs. But they do a really good job 99% of the time, but you're not going to catch it when they get it wrong the 1% of the time unless you understand the language. So that's the trick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've been dealing with LinkedIn deciding to completely crap out and then not picking up the stream again. So I've got everybody kind of moving over to...
Do they fire half of their people and expect to have the same level of service? I said that out loud.
Maybe. But it's streaming just fine on YouTube. So head on over to YouTube. And I posted that in the channel there too. I have no idea why... all of a sudden it just stopped, and it wouldn't even when you restarted the stream, it was just like, there's no data. Okay. Thanks.
They're firing us. They just didn't want to tell us.
Thanks, LinkedIn. But before we jump into GDC at the top of the hour, and we'll go ahead and repost the link to this whole uninterrupted stream back to LinkedIn afterwards. Just a couple of things that I wanted to go ahead and make sure that we hit was, first, Supercade, Van Burnham's new book. So if you don't know, Van is amazing, absolutely incredible friend, and she was an editor at Wired, and she wrote this book called Supercade, which is about the first era of video games. And that became kind of my template when we were doing the museum work, as to kind of how to think about games. And even the book that I wanted writing with my friend, we basically kind of cribbed from her design and went, oh, look, it looks very similar, because it was just an amazing book. She did a second series and just wrapped up that Kickstarter that came out. So it was the next era of games. And I was invited by Van to actually write a section in there. I did the Sega Saturn one, and you did which, Dean?
Yeah, I did. I wrote a couple of pages on the Xbox versions as well.
Nice.
Yeah. And so now she's going back and basically reissuing the first edition, the first book, but with improved, resolution and page weight, paperweight and stuff like that. And she's also asked us to come back and write other sections for the new books. We're going to be leaning to do that. So
more pages, and then for her Kickstarter goal for the whole 30 days. She was trying to get just $34,000
Yep.
for this project, and she's well above 50,000.
Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
nice.
She hit the goal within like 5 hours of it launching, which was awesome. Which is really awesome. I'm thrilled for her.
51,000 now.
Oof, yeah, very good. So yeah, if you've not checked out Supercade, it's about a 7-pound book, and it's awesome. It's awesome. It's a great book to break your back with. Another one that we wanted to mention, or that I wanted to mention, was Keyword Studios. So our good friend Stephen Peacock, there he is. Yay for Stephen. He former AWS colleague here, now friend over working at Keyword Studios, heading up AI. They've been, I think, working on this platform for about 18 months or so. And so, yeah, they're going to be showing off their new AI platform there.
Yeah, I'm curious to see.
And they said they had evaluated and looked at more than 500 AI tools
Yep.
in the process of sort of coming up with this solutions business.
Yeah.
Nice.
And if you recall, not last GDC, but the GDC prior, Keywords had basically come out and said, hey, for 6 months, we've been trying to build a game using AI tools, and you can't do it. Right? So they said, we tried to do everything, but it turned out you really needed, humans in the mix to constantly, change and do this stuff. So that's kind of where they went from. I'm excited to see what they're going to be showing off at GDC.
They still employ 12,000 people, so they
Yeah.
Yeah.
For now, it's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's awesome. It's awesome. And then the other one was Atari partners with B3 on multiple blockchain titles, including Pong. So put this one there because I thought it was an interesting one, but I'm not sure what it means yet.
Yeah,
I don't either.
It's a little light on details, but yeah, if you remember the previous CEO Fred, he had gotten into blockchain so much that he resigned as CEO of Atari and dove into doing blockchain gaming. And Atari at the time was still in kind of like a recovery mode, and it was trying to rebuild itself, and so it decided to focus just on making games, and now they're dipping their toes in the water again to bring multiple titles into Web3, including Pong. So.
Yep. So we'll see what goes on there. But those were kind of the bigger news beats that I had here. Mm-hmm. So so let's go ahead and do we want to switch over to GDC and talk about what's coming up this week?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry, I got one thing stuck in my brain. Can I get it off my brain before we go over to GDC?
Of course.
Yeah. Did you guys know Thomas Lee?
Oh yeah.
Who passed away this week?
Yeah.
It's been a rough week for the game, or a couple of weeks for the game industry with Carter passing away. Our friend Thomas Lee. I still don't know when I met Thomas. He was just like an ever-present person at the conferences, and I think maybe I met him when I lived in San Francisco. He worked on Wing Commander 3 back in the day and Final Fantasy 9 as an artist, and I think maybe he was at Nexon when I met him. Just a lovely, lovely guy. Last time I talked to him, he was like, "You got to come over to Seoul." He couldn't believe I'd never been to South Korea, and he's like, "Come over and we'll hang out." Anyway, he sounds like he had lymphoma. We all thought he was getting better. Yeah. And then no.
Yeah. Too bad.
So just sad this week.
Yeah. He was a wonderful person and always very friendly. And I didn't know him well, but he was always coming to our events and going to other events, and always stopping to say nice things and say hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. I unfortunately I didn't have the pleasure of knowing him, but by again, all accounts, everybody that did just talked about again, a warm, super intelligent, just awesome human being, Very sorry for all those that were close to him and for his family. And yeah, you know, it's I mean, it's a mark. Yeah, I mean, thank you for bringing that up, but it's a reminder of an old saying that, you know, I actually shared earlier today with some friends, which is the days are long, but the years are short. So make sure that you are taking time to be with people you care about and working with awesome folks and letting people know that you care, because there are no guarantees for anything. And we're privileged enough to work in this incredible industry where we get to work with friends every day. So you guys know how much I appreciate and care for you. And I can't wait to see everybody at GDC. So
me too. I kind of feel like this is like GDC over the years has rolled into more of a week to catch up with a bunch of old friends, you know, and find out what's going on. And so I'm looking forward to next week and seeing everybody. It does feel like a big extended family a lot of times. You only see a couple of times a year. So, you know, it'd be nice to get out there.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Anyway, okay.
Well, thank you for...
Sorry to bring the mood down.
No.
Sorry,
There
was one other
Go ahead.
person also who passed. That was Pete Billington, who was one of the co-founders of Fable.
Right.
Oh, geez. Oh, yeah.
That is right.
And also, you know, very sort of beloved filmmaker. He
Yeah,
passed from a heart
unfortunately
attack
passed too.
in an airport. He was only 50 years old. So sad to see that as well. And, it was very big in terms of being a director. Helped make this transition over to VR with Wolves in the Walls over at Fable.
Right.
And just had a huge body of work.
Yeah.
Matrix. Star Wars movies.
Yep.
Lots of other things. So.
Yeah. It's like, again, you know, don't take any moment for granted, right? Like, which, of course, we never do, right? Because life gets messy and everything. But you know, when people that we care about pass, and it has this ripple effect not only for yourself but for friends of yours and for the industry. You know, it's. I try to remain cognizant of my time, my friends, my space, and industry that I care about. And again, you know, our sincerest condolences and love to all of those that were affected. And yeah, I mean, for next week, I'm excited to celebrate being together with everybody and, you know, just being aware where we are, right? So to that end, why don't we jump in a little bit and talk about GDC. GDC 2025. This is my 25th year since I first started going, which is just stupid on its face. And I'm just like, I was telling people, 24 years. And I was like, oh, no, 25 years. How old am I now? Right?
Yeah, I realized that I was labeling everything GDC 2024. Like my little schedule, my notes, my see ya GDC 24. I was like,
exactly.
Hang on.
But that's also like, stuff that kids won't understand. I keep writing my checks for 2024. It's like, what is a check?
Checks.
I actually did that.
Exactly.
I actually did that a couple of years ago just to see what would happen. I went into a store and I bought some stuff and I wrote a check and they could not process it. They're like, we don't know how to use the register to do any of this. I'm like, that's fair. I said, yeah, here's Apple Pay. Well, let's just go.
Yeah.
That jerk.
My mom still takes a trip to Comcast every month to give them
cash
for
I
a
know.
bill.
It's almost like living in Europe. All right, so let's
it.
talk a bit about the conference here. So I've got the GDC site up here. Yeah.
Oh, the first and most important. Well, maybe not most important. First thing is Whimsy. You gotta go if you're at GDC. You gotta take the Whimsy. You gotta go ride the carousel.
Oh yes. For sure. Yes.
Open merry-go-round in front of the conference center at GDC all day Thursday. And if you get there early enough, you'll get a little badge ribbon that says GD Game Developer Carousel on it. So get it, show your friends, get everybody to go ride the merry-go-round. It's fun. We did it last year. It was surprisingly silly and a good time. So thank you to John Sagerson, who's the person who
sponsors
ponied up
that whole
for it
thing.
for the day.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing. All right, so yes, so that is definitely a good one. Dean and the team over there had written an article. It said GDC 2025 preview, 700 sessions, perhaps 30,000 plus attendees. So it's going to be, it's full swing again, right? For GDC.
I think they're not sure exactly how many, but there were 30,000 last year, and that seems as good a guess as any.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, it's going to have a lot of very interesting sessions. It did a story that called out a lot of bigger ones. A couple I was interested in. We're going back to the number one reason to be session. That's going to be on let's see, Thursday at 11 a.m. in the West Hall, room 2002. Laia B is the moderator, and she participated. She did one a year ago. It's all about kind of a celebration of women and their personal stories in the game industry, and it's always very inspirational and moving to hear these stories. I think they had more American speakers on this session.
Right.
They're good, interesting people, but I think they also had trouble getting some of their people to get visas approved into the United States.
Yeah.
So Laia says this is like a year-long process where GDC actually pays for the expenses for these people to come, but it's getting harder to get them into the country.
Yeah.
So that's so sad.
Now, I'm sorry, you said this
this
was a main stage one, is that right?
No, this is not one of the main stage sessions. It's just in one of the rooms on
it's in
Thursday.
Okay.
I think it's 2001 and 2002 are two of the bigger ones, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And then another interesting one that maybe a lot of people don't know about was Monica Harrington. She was the founding chief marketing officer at Valve, and she's retired and was married to co-founder Mike Harrington. And with Gabe Newell, she was sort of more like the silent and hidden third co-founder of Valve, right? And was there from the very beginning. She was working at Microsoft in marketing at the same time, and so at one point she had to sort of decide and commit to helping Valve, and she left and did that, and she's going to sort of talk about her view of working at Valve in the early days, including getting Half-Life out the door.
That should be good.
That should be, it should be very interesting.
Yeah.
I still remember visiting them before they'd shipped anything at Valve and thinking like these guys are it's like a bunch of folks coming from Word and Excel, like they're never going to ship a game.
And Kate Edwards and Vladimir who helped organize this session. And Kate is also on the number one reason to beat session this year.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's
That'll be
great. I don't know if you guys have other sessions that you're
there's one you might be interested. I don't know if you've seen, Dean, just because there's 700 talks, but Bryant Francis from Game Developer is going to give a talk on how to interface with media when you might have something to say that's sensitive, like my studio is
Gotcha.
when there are sensitive things you can't say out loud, but you still want to engage with media. How do you do that? So Brian's going to give a talk about that Friday at 11:30,
which is an awesome skill, not for game developers, for anybody. And Dean, being a professional reporter, right, can attest to there's no such thing as off the record. Right? Or when a reporter you don't know comes up and says, no, look, just off the record. How does your company feel about letting go of blank? And you're just like, oh, if it's off the record, where are you from? The Wall Street Journal? No problem. It's like, no, don't do that. The ripcord for anybody. I may just need to mute Dean's audio right now. The ripcord for anybody is, thank you very much for that question. I'm not the appropriate person to answer that. Happy to put you in touch with somebody that can. Just do it with smiles.
Say, unless you trust the journalist or somebody like Dean, if Dean said it's off the record, I trust.
That's why I
If
said
Brian
I
says
had the
off record,
caveat of if it's somebody you don't know, but it's somebody that you know has integrity, is not going to leak this stuff, like Dean. There's a difference there.
Hi,
But
I'm from Game
Right.
Monthly Weekly Magazine.
Exactly.
Blog, and it's off the record.
your page is just a single HTML frame with your
It's an
email address on
HTML4.
it. Yes, exactly.
It's a Flash site.
It's a geospace site. You still have a geospace page?
Wow. Oh, gee.
That's how all the reporters got into E3. Oh no, I'm press. Let me in.
Hey, you're not supposed to know that secret.
But no, in all seriousness, this is a really good set of skills and something that Dean knows about this. Mark, I don't know if you've ever been through murder boarding before. Do you know what murder boarding is?
You might have a different idea what
so
it
in
is in my head.
in PR work, murder boarding is we're going to bring a professional, a reporter in. We're going to sit you down to do a real on-camera interview, and they're going to ask you the worst questions,
nice.
like, "Oh, I heard this person in your board was caught in a sex scandal." You're just like, I thought we were talking about,
Yeah.
right? And so then you get to go back and see how you performed, and you learn a lot in getting. In murder boarding in that process.
That's a great
but
idea.
anyway, yes, go check out that session Mark was talking about. That'll be great.
What other ones you guys got? I got a list of a handful.
Oh yeah, and I've got
What's next for you?
the website up here. So the Expo Hall overview on the GDC site. GDC nights, right? There's a ton of
that'll be
events that are going on there.
Yeah, that's brand new as well this year, right? And GDC nights on Monday and Thursday in particular, I think, where they're putting on a sort of a nighttime festival and board game activities, etc., inside GDC's West Hall, so that people can sort of find a safe place to go to at night without having to search around San Francisco for things to go to.
And if you're new and not invited to the parties because you don't know anybody yet, this is a great place. You can go there and meet all sorts of people. I love this idea. I should have said I'm on the advisory board for GDC. But I don't know who it was on staff that came up with this idea, but I was like, yes, why haven't we done this before? Look at this great idea.
Yeah, it is.
And I think everybody's aware of safety issues in San Francisco.
Yes.
And then also there was a couple of years ago a scare that went around people spiking drinks at the offsite GDC parties, and so that I'm pretty sure that's when this got on the radar for GDC to do itself.
Well, I mean, you bring a good point. Like, San Francisco is an amazing city, incredible food, incredible art. Like, there's so
Incredible
much to
price.
do. Just know where you are, right? Definitely, buddy system is the best. Always, especially at night, and if you're in areas you don't really understand, like if you happen to make your way a couple of steps into the Tenderloin or something like that, like you want to make sure that you are aware of your surroundings. Some other tips that kind of came up on LinkedIn and some other lists are things like if somebody that you're meeting with says, "Oh, well, we can just go up to my room to continue the meeting," no, okay, that should just, absolutely not. Also, as Dean pointed out, there are still, unfortunately, the disgusting, despicable acts like spiking somebody's drink. If you see it, say something. Be that person, right? Don't go, "Well, maybe I misunderstood," or I did. No. Confront it, right? People are going to have your back there. Make sure you do it. We're all in this as a community. It's important to make sure that we're looking out for each other. And, if you have people that are coming there that act this way, that crap's not warranted. We don't want it, right? Stay home. Nobody wants to do work with you anyway. So, right?
You should read the health and safety page
Yes.
on the GDC site if you haven't, if you're going, because it talks about different things you can do and should do. And a phone number for the police department. It's good to have in your back pocket.
Absolutely.
There's a hotline. GDC has a safety hotline for the duration of the show. That's super important as a phone number.
Yeah.
Just like print that out, stick it in your back pocket.
And with all of that, we should say it's still an incredibly welcoming, awesome like conference, right? It is amazing. It's my absolute favorite conference of the year.
30,000 people who all love the same thing you do.
Correct.
At one place at the same time.
Correct.
How can that not be fun?
Here's the other thing I would say too is have a little humility when you're there, because you have people that founded the industry that are still working in it today. And they are just walking around. So Don Daglow is like a fixture everywhere. And you may very well be standing next to a hero of yours, somebody that you admire, somebody whose work, has really impacted you. Be humble, right? Everybody's out here to do the good job. And the best line I always get is, let me tell you how the industry works. And you're like, please tell me how the industry works.
I want to know.
That's great. But everybody is really welcoming. Ask questions. Introduce yourself. Don't be afraid, right, to speak up. That's what this is about. So I'm looking forward to meeting all new friends out there this week as well. But on the webpage here. Go ahead, Dean.
Oh, I just wanted to point out there's another interesting sort of late addition to the main stage, which is the ESA. It's going to have an initiative they're going to announce about accessibility. And Aubrey Quinn from the ESA is going to be leading that panel, and they're going to have people from EA, Google, Microsoft, Nintendo of America, and then Ubisoft there on the panel too.
Yep, I got the page up right here. From idea to action, lessons from a new accessibility initiatives. That's Thursday, March 20th. And then the day before, a developers concert. Austin Wintory is going to be there with a whole new slate of music and springing from the theme of connecting the world through games. Austin is not just an amazing conductor and an amazing musician. He's just one of the nicest people, too. So if you really want to go ahead and look at an artist leading other artists to play this music, definitely check it out if you have a chance.
I'm writing that one down right now. I heard that was amazing last year, and I really regretted missing it.
He's absolutely tremendous.
That's my advice, is to not completely fill your schedule with meetings and to try to get to some of the sessions.
Agreed.
I never succeed in doing much of that these days.
What's your goal for a number of articles at the show, Dean?
Oh, God.
Well, lots of articles, but also just more meetings than
normal
actual sessions, right? So.
No, I get that, and you're exactly right. Don't stack them all up, because once you're there, the meetings just pile up. I think I stopped at like 15 or something before going, but that's going to triple before the end of the week. Plus, we have a bunch of other stuff that's going on there. Well, let's take a look at the rest of the page here. First, experiences and show features. Shut up and sit down. Calling all analog fans. Take a seat, pick your favorite maker, and join tabletop gaming fun. That'll be great. Day of the Devs, always a lot of fun. That was started by Tim Schafer and Double Fine, and they're really highlighting indie games. Alt Control GDC, one of my favorites. I love this section, Alt Control GDC. It's all of the weird, crazy ways to interact with game content that developers create. I mean, the picture right there is, there was a game where two people had a set of blinds for your window, and you had to move them in different patterns to communicate, and that was the input for the game. Crazy. Totally crazy stuff. Of course, the Independent Game Festival Pavilion, if you want to see games that are really catching notice of the industry and of, potential publishers and stuff, this is the place to go ahead and check it out. Of course, GDC Pitch, GDC Play, Video Game History Foundation. Yay! They'll be doing, of course, their entire display there in the Game History Gallery. So these are just some of the bigger kind of experiences and kind of show features there. And then I've got the map here. Look at that.
Oh, my God.
Ooh. And
It's a
who's
little
this right up
overwhelming
there?
if you haven't been to the show before.
Look at that.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, what are they doing
Who's
there?
that?
Yeah, we've got a pretty, we have
a
a
big picture of your face.
nice sizable booth there, right there as you come in.
Interesting.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Who's missing? Unity and Epic are not here on the show floor this year.
What?
Correct.
Unity and Epic are both missing? That's
Yes.
crazy.
Yeah.
What about Sony and Nintendo? Nintendo usually has off
nope.
the floor. Sony wasn't there last year for the first time.
Yeah, I
wonder if
don't
they're off the
see
floor
them
too.
here.
Not too bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, with Epic, and they have Unreal Fest, right? So as they continue to build that, that's an awesome, property from them. There are, a couple of ones we hadn't seen before, like servers.com that's popping in there. But back here in the corner is All Control GDC. Definitely go check it out. It's so much fun. And then right as you exit the South Hall there, here is the Game History Gallery. So make sure you go ahead and check that out.
There's some country pavilions I see this year. Spanish is over there.
Oh, yeah.
Are there other ones over there?
Yeah, so here in like the International
Brazil,
and the Connect
Japan.
Lounge, right? Spanish, Italian Pavilion, Pro Chile, Brazil, Japan, Indian, Polish.
That's awesome. I'm going to have to spend some time over there.
Yeah, 100%. Seeing what people are doing, and building all over the world. Oh, Game Dev Estonia.
Nice.
Yeah, okay. That
Ukraine
Tokyo
there this
Game
year?
Show back there in the corner there.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
That's
nice,
how big
nice,
the
nice.
Tokyo Game Show is now.
Little tiny little booth.
Exactly. And then we have the Connect Lounge, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on there this year. I'm going to be sitting on a panel talking about the importance of user experience in games, and
awesome.
that's part of the Connect programming there. You have the IGF Pavilion. Definitely check that out. Speed networking. So there's a lot, right, going on here, both North and South Hall. Yeah, let me see. What else do we have?
I was interested to see Jason Schreier has a panel with the Communications Workers of America, and they're going to talk about unionization in games and what has worked and what has not. That one's
Those are always really popular sessions.
5 o'clock on Monday, or it's like 5 o'clock on Wednesday in West Hall.
Nice.
Awesome.
2001.
Awesome. Well, then you're like, I would be remiss if I didn't mention my colleagues, right? So I'm doing this Community Clubhouse Developer Summit. So the session I'm on is with Rob Shoppy from Excel Byte, Kim Nordstrom, right? Player Unknown,
Nice. Yep.
right? And Romain from Amplitude Studios. We're going to talk about, again, Boom versus Rush, balancing player expectation, creative priorities, and high-touch errors. And we have a variety of different sessions that AWS is doing this year, including how like Jackbox Games is bringing their games to market using our new GameLift Streams service, building games with Unreal Engine Horde on the AWS. There's a lot of really good stuff that's going to be going on there.
So much stuff.
Yes, but also Dean Takahashi is going to be hosting the Crossfire Lounge right
What's
here.
that?
So, Dean, tell us what the Crossfire... I know what it is, but I want to hear you explain it.
We have a space at NASDAQ downtown on Tuesday at 6 o'clock. It looks like it is sold out now, but we're going to have a series of... we're going to have a reception, but we're also going to have a series of 3 debates, one on the topic. They're going to be short debates, each about 20 minutes, one on AI, and then one on the state of the games industry, and one on alternative app stores. And so it will be very interesting to see what some of these folks have to say. The debate format is something that we, I guess, don't see enough of in the game industry, I think, now. But yeah, this will be a nice chance to hear opposing
Is this getting
points
recorded
of
for later?
yeah, it will be recorded. I'm not sure of the distribution plans right now, but yeah, it'll be recorded. And we will have a surprise sort of like guest from the IGDA Foundation and an award they're giving out too. So
Nice.
That'll be fun.
What a week. We're going to be exhausted.
We are going to be exhausted. I've got 2 more to mention. Well, actually, 1 more to mention, which is the Women's in Games International organization, and AWS is doing another summit this year on Monday evening. Yeah, it's waitlist only now because so many people signed up.
Why are you mentioning it
to join this?
Just taunting us.
Because there's going to be an overflow area as well, and then after those panels, there'll be an opportunity for everybody to kind of mingle together and do all of that stuff. So definitely go ahead. I'll go ahead and pop the link into the notes at the bottom. But why this is nice, I mean, for me personally, as nice as I joined the advisory board for Women's in Games International this year. So I'm going to get to help along with like 50 other people that are on the advisory board, which is great to get a bunch of diverse perspective and lean in to support just a really wonderful organization and really just love the mission that they're on and want to help in any way I can. So so I'm super excited to now see my colleagues there and get to lean in, right? Lean in.
And one more thing for me to plug, which is my own session at GDC with Amir Satvat.
Yes,
and he is the Game Jobs champion, and we'll be doing a session on layoffs and transparency in the game industry on Thursday, March 20th, 3:30 p.m.
West 2006. I got it.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm realizing there's like 10 other things I want to talk to people about, so I'm going to write up a post and put it in my LinkedIn later. So
there
if
you
you're
go.
Curious about the kind of stuff that I think is interesting, come check it out.
Dean, the only thing that I want out of your session, though, is I want Amir to wear the shirt that he made with your face on it. So if you go ahead and look at the, Amir's posts,
I love it.
he made a shirt for with Dean on it, and it's just it's glorious.
Now, Dean, you need to make one with Amir's face on it.
So look, I before we kind of sign off here for the weekend and then get ready to head on out to San Francisco, our other co-host Susan, posted earlier today that, we know the industry is in just the craziest place it's been in a very long time. I don't ever think I've seen it kind of this, not rickety is the wrong word. It's moving forward with all these pieces that they're holding on and like kind of repivoting, right? And so the thing is, through all of that change and everything else, it's important to remain positive and know that games aren't going away by any stretch of the imagination. Like we're just getting started in many regards, and really lean in. And as our, very good friend Carter Lipscomb used to say, right? Be present, be pleasant. And really lean into the time that you're going to spend at GDC. Ask questions, meet new colleagues, be open to new discussions, be safe, look for allies around you, and just have an awesome time at GDC. I'll be running around the show floor with some cameras and stuff, interviewing a bunch of people, a ton of stuff going on inside the AWS booth too that I'll be involved in, as well as just, out and about. We may be doing some old school rap karaoke on Wednesday night, which I am ready to blow the freaking mic up.
I'm going to watch the video later, but...
oh, no, you're not going to watch the video. You're going to be there and just be like, oh, where's my ad rock stand-in? Oh, it's Mark DeLore. Mark's going to go, do you have any saxophone-based jazz?
Exactly. Can I just rap to some Miles Davis? I don't know what I'm going to do.
Exactly. But, all right, but as we normally do when we leave, what are you guys playing right now? Anything different, new? What?
I'm playing staying up late and writing my stories for GDC.
Yeah, I hear that. I've been spending some quality time with a bunch of Gen AI tools trying to build a game in a week, which has been fun. But I did download Capcom Arcade. I've been playing 1942 and Ghouls and Goblins. I always mix up that title, and that's been super fun.
Or Ghosts and Goblins.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah, they're both impossibly hard and from my childhood, which makes them perfect.
Plus, you're running around in your underwear when you get hit.
Right?
Did you get that deal on Humble Bundle?
I did. That's the Humble Bundle deal. Thank you, Humble Bundle.
Yeah, very good. Yes, thank you to Humble Bundle for that. No, I've just been playing testing. So testing demos, testing all kinds of crazy stuff here, and just getting ready to get out of here for GDC. We are going to be doing the live stream, live and together for the first time at GDC on Friday. It may start a half an hour later at 10 a.m. Just because morning meetings that already kind of took up the space, and I have to run and make sure that everything is live and up and running. But we'll have a space for that, and I'm looking forward to seeing both of you and Susan out there and going and doing it. But that's going to wrap it up for this week.
Woot woot.
All righty. Well,
Good to see you guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
All right, and thanks, gang. Thanks for joining us here on Boss Rush. I'm sorry that LinkedIn crapped out. Not much I can do about it if their service isn't accepting the
I'll fix
stream.
it in post.
But YouTube is working just fine. So head on over there, and we'll see you next week. Take care, everyone. Safe travels to GDC.
See you guys
if you're
soon.
going.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah, have fun. Bye.